Welcome to Lift Your Leg. This is Monique Anstey from the Naughty Dog in Victoria, BC, author of As a Dog Thinketh.
And Jill Brown from Calgary, Alberta, the bag lady.
Thank you for all joining us. Today we are going to be talking about failings in our own training with dogs, because I've had a week of plenty of it. But first, before we start talking about that, I must apologize for my terrible editing job on one of my our recent podcasts. I had said something completely incorrect and hadn't realized I'd said it until Jill corrected me. So I had to go back and change it. And my skill in editing became quite obvious to all of you. So please forgive me for the terrible edits, but it was one of those things that I had to clarify because otherwise it would have been untrue. So truth always wins out, even if it's bad editing that makes it happen that way.
So this is failing in training and editing.
Very true. It's been a week of failing, so I'll just embrace this.
Sometimes you just gotta fail.
Sometimes you just got to fail and not let it defeat you. I think that's the key in all of this. Like, bad things happen. Sometimes it's just not our fault. You have to go with the overall wins versus the failures and make sure you don't take your failures as judgments on your skill level. Because sometimes you just meet the dogs that are going to make you fail. And I've had that week.
And there's a I don't think it's a meme, but there's a term that failing is learning. If you don't
I'd like
fail,
to learn less.
if you don't fail, you don't learn. Yeah, it builds character. I have enough character. Thank you very much.
I have plenty of character. Yep. Let me jump into my week. I have a darling little puppy border collie with me. She's so sweet. She's so young. She's so little. And she's the devil. And I can stop right there. That's pretty much a summation of this dog. I have no idea how to train her. She's tormented me all week, but she's sweet.
Don't you want to
Sometimes.
tell us? Don't you want to tell us about your failure with her?
Oh, which ones? It's just been continuation. Would you like to hear about Monday, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, or Thursdays? Because they're all with this little dog. She has amazing feel. This is a true sheepdog. She needs to be on sheep, except she's too young and too little. But watching her move my ducks, she's amazing with her eye and how she can find her point of balance on my ducks right before the moment that she loses her temper and attacks them.
Oh dear.
And then she's just gone across the property. So this morning at 7 a.m. in my clogs, I'm outside in the rain, in like mud, trying to make this silly little dog come back. I'm calling her and she's running away. So I'm yelling at her and she's running further. So I'm walking her down, trying to get her to come back. Yeah, no, not going to happen. So eventually I just ended up catching her, put her on a leash. So I gave her a recall correction. I did the first one, she didn't care. Did the second one, she didn't care. Did the third one, she didn't care. Did the fourth one, she didn't care. And I think at some point along the way there, I felt better about having at least corrected her for not coming. Decided now it's time to work on loose leash, which was an equal disaster to the recall lesson. At some point, she eventually gave up, and I decided to have a better day and just put her away. So that was my morning of this morning, which follows on from our lesson of last night. It's just terrible. Last night, I took her into my building when I'm teaching group class, and she was sweet. She was being nice. People are in there with their dogs. And then she just loses her marbles and starts having this absolute frantic outburst of wanting to kill everyone in the room. And I'm not even sure if it was dogs or people. It was just anyone.
Dear.
It was movement, anyone. So I'm holding this little whippersnapper because she's only little, thank the Lord. And she then felt herself being held. She felt like a form of restraint. I think she was tucked under my arm at that point. She lost her complete marbles. Like she just multiplied her anger by 10 and she was going to take my hand off. At which point she got corrected, which I don't think did anything other than make me feel better. And she did subdue herself a teeny tiny little bit. At which point I just held her upside down because it's the only thing I could think of. Like she was just going crazy. And she continued going crazy upside down, but I felt better about having her in that position. So we just stayed that way for a little bit.
Oh, man.
So then I attempted to put her outside in the little yard and she just barked furiously, like at the door, like there was intruders in her house. So my husband came in and said, "Stop the barking." And I'm trying to teach a group class. So she went in the car and that was our evening before our morning. So that pretty much sums up my week. That's just a few hours of it.
You got your work cut out for you with that one.
I've met my match.
And you also get to use your mantra of when in doubt, do something.
Oh, goodness.
Even if it's not right, do something.
So far with her, very little has been right, but I feel better about it.
Oh, boy.
I really hope my client doesn't listen to this podcast, or by the time it gets aired, I've made headway with her dog.
Let's hope so.
Oh,
boy.
dear. So prior to this, what have been my lessons that have been successful? That might be the better thing to focus on.
Yeah, you might want to. I want to talk about the things you're succeeding at.
I've had 2 moments of success with this little monster. The second one was this morning. I put her out with my dogs. And it was the second time she's met my dogs. But I knew from last night how crazy she was, that she needed my adults that would not put up with her nonsense. So she came out, I want to say this high drive, whirling dervish, but there was a franticness to her push, and it was push. And Johnny was having none of it. Absolutely none of it. So Johnny told her off about 5 or 6 times, and he made it a sport of just looking where she was so he could tell her off again. And she was a much nicer person after that. Much, much nicer.
So Johnny just stuck to it longer than you did.
Oh, no, I've stuck to it. I just haven't made the headway. She just doesn't believe me. She believed Johnny. She never believed me.
Take a lesson from Johnny. Oh, boy.
So that was one, and she was nicer after it. And then the very first successful lesson I had with her was she attacks wheels, she attacks movement. Pretty much she bites anything. Give her an excuse and she bites it.
Which is very typical for a border collie.
It is. It totally is. And every border collie gone bad, I feel absolutely desperate with, oh no, how am I going to train this dog? I have no idea. They're so extreme. I don't think I can do this. And I'm saying that again with her. And while I want to say her behavior is less serious than Wasp, in truth, she's not.
I think it's just you're trying to say that because she's a young puppy. Yeah.
Yeah. Like the level of fury I saw in her last night, Wasp never had that much anger.
Wow.
She's way more dog than Wasp. She's just younger. So we're not seeing it yet. I know. I have no idea how to fix her. So the only other time I've had success, let's talk about that, was when she first arrived. I've met her before. She came to day school and it didn't go so well. So she ended up in board and train after a few sins at home. So she arrives here Monday. I have her, things aren't looking great from anything I'd seen. So I thought if I loose leash walk her, it's going to be a disaster. If I run her off leash, it's going to be a disaster. Yes, she attacks wheels and attacks bikes. What the hell? She's going for a bike ride. May as well just dive right in and work with the issue head on. So I did. And she bit my wheel, she bit my wheel, she bit my wheel, she bit my wheel, whatever. We keep going. Then she realized biting the wheel wasn't stopping, so she really carefully judged my ankle on the pedal. And I gave her a little leash pop and told her to knock it off. So we got through that. Like, she bit the wheel some more. And then the first car drove past us. So the car drove past on my right and she was on my left. So, of course, she shot in front and got hit by my front wheel. And that just made her angry. So she bit the wheel again. Then the next car came. So she repeated the same, shot in front of the wheel, got hit by the wheel. And then she was like, oh, I didn't like that so much. Then a truck came. So she, of course, had to do the same. I got hit by the wheel. And then she's, I'm done. I'm not moving anymore. So she laid down and pouted. I let her lay down and pout and gave her a couple of minutes. And then I invited her in and up to cuddle with me. And she was so sweet. She came in and told me how sad she was and how sorry she was. And then we had a lovely bike ride. She loved it. She had so much fun. Until the next day.
I was biting my tongue.
Until the next day when she reevaluated her life plan. If this is a game of chess, I'm losing, really losing. And she's only 5 months old.
You said that when she arrived, you didn't know what you were going to do with her. But truth be told, every dog that arrives, you don't really know what. You don't have a step-by-step program that you follow with.
Normally, I'm starting loose leash, though.
Yeah. But aside from that, like, you have your set things that you do with nails and grooming and
I wouldn't dare cut her nails, though. I was looking at them after she wouldn't come this morning. She has very long rear dew claws that need cutting, and that may just happen the next time.
Yeah.
Because I think with her, there's so many battles. Very little is amiable. There's so many battles that at some point they just have to be taken head on. Now, as I've said that, after my successful Monday bike ride, she was a much nicer dog, and all my people saw her Monday night. They're like, wow, she's so different from when we saw her before. Then I took her out Tuesday. And I don't think anyone said that Tuesday afternoon when they saw her again. So Tuesday, she was the devil, and it's going to remain unnamed. But then we went to a residential neighborhood, and I took her with other dogs. So she had other dogs for support. And we went to a very quiet part of this neighborhood where she could have more leash, have more freedom, and I could support her and help her. Yeah, whatever. We tried a flexi leash. Didn't work so well. So we tried a shorter long line. Yeah, didn't work so well. So we tried loose leash. Worked even worse. And then I think I just came home and rewarded myself with caffeine and sugar.
Sometimes you got to do what you got to do. And I'm disappointed that you didn't reward yourself with
alcohol. I was too tired at the end of the day. You need to work with dogs like this. There's no energy for alcohol at the end of the day when you have dogs like this. I think that was the same with Wasp. When I had Wasp here, I drank very little. When I sat down, I just fell asleep. They kept me going all day.
Oh, man.
So what did my Wednesday look like with her? Oh, Wednesday, I did right by her. I gave her what she needed and kept her safe at the same time. We did a long line hike through the forest where she could see how many times she could wrap her line around trees and get herself stuck. It was impressive. And I took her with an older German Shepherd I had who was a super good role model for her. So that was part of our Wednesday, only a small part. And then she had time with my dogs. I can't remember what else I did with her. Oh, worked on my birds. That was a fail.
But she showed you she has herding instinct.
Oh, it's so funny. So many of the things I do with this dog, I'm just completely failing at. And I'm trying like different things to see if I can get success. And no, it's like more of a fail. Oh, and then yesterday was all of my evening classes where it was just a disaster with her.
Did you take her to your growl class?
Not growl. She was supposed to participate in Bravery or Games Night, but was not a welcome participant. she would not help other dogs build their confidence.
Oh man.
So then she got to partake in competition obedience instead, and also got kicked out of that class. Like, she was such a little tyrant.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
you're earning your money on that one.
So after my 4 days of like pretty much complete failure with her, she hasn't gone home for the weekend.
I was
She's
gonna say,
staying here.
after 4 days of failing, you decided to keep her for the weekend.
Oh, yeah. How can I send her home? Like, if I, who knows what I know about dog training and border collies and weird little minds like this, if I've completely lost the chess game of this week, how can I send her home? Like, I can't even imagine what I would get back.
Yeah, you're gonna have to regroup over the weekend.
She's here for the weekend. And I have decided in my great wisdom, and once again, we only know if these things are right once we do it and see if we've succeeded or not.
Yep.
I have realized I have zero control of this dog. She won't respond to her name. She won't respond to any commands unless she wants to, which is not useful whatsoever because I only need to control her when she doesn't want to.
Mm-hmm.
So I have started teaching her lie down, but because she's such a baby, she's at the beginning stages. It's all I want to type of training. So she's a fantastic student. I've started with lie down. I have started with loose leash. Not that I can say I'm succeeding in any way on that, but lie down was brilliant. I'm going completely backwards and I'm going to work on that type of control. And I'm leaving her home. I'm not taking her on loose leash walks. I'm not going to take her out in public where she can lose her marbles when she sees anything.
Mm-hmm.
There's no point rehearsing more bad behavior. Somehow I have to rewire her and reboot her.
Well,
She has 3 acres here and a flock of chickens and ducks to torment herself with. Or torment them with. I have my dogs here, and I just need to regroup and see what I can teach her at home and then start adding more public in. Because right now, training her in public is currently not possible.
it's a little bit sounds like with her, it's like when you bring home a new puppy. She doesn't need any of the outside stimulus of like
No.
with a puppy where everybody want to take them to the pet store and to the park and everything like that. She
Yeah.
needs a few days where she just realizes she's with you and you matter
Yeah.
before you start throwing other things in.
I'm not sure I will matter.
I think you
Not,
will.
I think it's going to have to be very creative on my part to make myself matter. Right now, she loves me when she wants to, but when she doesn't want to, I'm chopped liver. I'm not chopped liver. I'm poo. I'm certainly not chopped liver. I'm dog poo. I mean nothing to her. Like, she'd throw me in front of a bus to get to the other side.
We'll have to revisit this on Monday because I feel like after the weekend you'll have some changes.
I might be in a straitjacket by Monday. But I decided to talk about this tonight because everyone always talks about the positive stuff of dog training and how they're doing so well and how they can get any dog. And oh, look, they look so fantastic right away because I'm the best that there is. And that's just not true. Like, it doesn't matter who you are. We all run into dogs that give us a run for our money. And we need to just be honest and share this, that it's not a judgment on me or my skill. Well, you might want to judge me on me and my skill, but it's not. I'll get there. I'm fairly confident I will get there. And I shouldn't have said that out loud now, knowing this little dog. But we all have a run for our money once in a while, like a dog that just totally blows our mind and we make no progress with. It's, what am I doing?
Yeah. And you're right. Very few trainers that you see on social media ever show their failures.
Yep. And we need
I think Mia is the only one that I've ever seen showing, and it wasn't even a failure, it just wasn't a great retrieve, but
Yep.
she posted it and said, like, this isn't what I want, but this is what I got today.
Yep.
But yeah, very few people. They all, and I think that's human nature. You want people to see the wonderful things you're doing.
It's hard to discuss this dog in this way and say, come on, guys, bring me your board and trains. I can fix your dog.
Exactly.
But at this point, I'm not yet completely beaten down by this dog. I do believe I can still train her. I just don't know how yet. There's a way, and every border collie is different. I just have to find a way with this dog.
Yep. And every one of these kind of dogs you learn something from and learn what you'll come up with other ideas that will work for dogs in the future.
I hope so.
That's me being optimistic.
I have to. She's just a baby. It really can't be this hard, can it? Oh my goodness. Okay, so that was my failure number 1. We don't even stop there. That's just the start of my week.
Dear.
My other board and train arrives on Monday and not previously disclosed in any way. This dog poops when he gets in a car when he's traveled a few minutes in the car.
That's lovely.
So a training goal was they would like him to be able to pee and poo in public. That's what was discussed, not the fact that he poops in your car.
I guess they don't want him to poop in the car. They want him to pee and poop in public.
It's all in the framing. So with this dog, I had expected from what had been explained that I was getting a dog with lacking confidence, like a serious lack of confidence, because normally those dogs can't pee and poo in public. It takes a certain amount of confidence and vulnerability to be able to take a dump in public because you're rather trapped in that moment. If you're dealing with very fearful dogs that are worried about their survival, they will not poop in public. They'll save it for when they come home. That's what I was expecting. That's not what I got.
Dear. You know what they say about assuming.
This dog arrives and he'd already pooped in their car by the time they got here. I'm looking at the smeared dog poo all in the crate and the dog covered in it and thinking, oh, lucky me. Why do I have this job?
I hope you just pointed them to the bathtub.
Oh, I get him, and it takes me, I'm going to say, a day and a half before I could get near him safely. He wasn't dangerous, but I had to be careful with him. And while, yes, he is fearful, and yes, he is lacking confidence, both of which were explained to me in advance, what was not mentioned or realized by them or their past trainer was that's not the emotion that we need to be worrying about here. Yeah, there's a lack of confidence and there is fear. This dog is angry. And I don't know why no one mentioned that. Did no one see it? Did no one realize it? What? So, anyhow, now I have Pooper. And how on earth am I going to take this dog anywhere to train him? Question number 1, like, how do I take him anywhere? How am I going to work on his loose leash? Because by the time we arrive anywhere, no one's going to walk past us.
And you don't even want to put a leash on him at that point.
The first day I left him home, we just got to know each other, like sitting on the back of my car. And every time he would hop into his crate, he was willing to go into his crate. And every time I closed a door, I shouldn't say every time, but once we got a bit friendlier with each other. So the first time he jumped into the crate and I just casually touched him as he jumped in, he spun around and snarled at me as I was closing that door. So that was the first time. And then it was the following day. He'd been quite sweet with me. I think he'd hopped up and sat next to me. And he went into his crate and spun around and snarled at me. And in my experience with dogs, that when they leap into a crate with fast speed and either plant themselves in the back or spin fast and meet you as you're closing that door, I think that's one of the most dangerous behaviors you'll see in a dog. Not because that behavior itself is dangerous, but that leads to the most dangerous of dogs that I've worked with anyway. Dogs that won't allow a door to be closed on them. They're scary.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
Yeah. when I saw that, I knew I had to deal with that because that's a no-go in my world because that means he's a dead dog. And as I was looking at him, like, truthfully, a dog that poops within a few minutes of being driven somewhere, that's absolute panic. Like, that's not a headspace anyone wants to live in.
Yeah.
That's mental torture. That's not good. So knowing he's already in mental torture every time he gets in a car, and he's willing to then take me on every time I close a door on him, this is a dog that has nothing to live for.
Yeah.
So truthfully, this is the most dangerous of dogs. He has nothing to live for, like, really.
Wow.
I had a very sad Monday and Tuesday realizing that about this dog and being determined to change it for him.
I was gonna say that just makes you dig your heels in, though.
It does.
You're like a little Jack Russell
I am.
or Pitbull, depending on the day.
I am. So that totally just determined me. You are not dying on my watch.
I will fix this,
I will make you happy.
whether you like it or not.
So this nasty little angry dog got stuck on my front seat. And please don't poo. You can bite me, just don't do a poo on the front seat. That I can't bear.
But at least there you can see when it's starting to happen.
As
Like
it
you can-
splatters in your face, that makes it better. Seeing it makes it better.
That would just make me laugh. But you're gonna see him starting to get antsy, and
I actually think in truth, like, seeing him, he would be too exposed to be able to do it.
yeah.
So
Well,
seeing him, it would either fall out without it being intentional. So it would just slip out of him as he was, like, wanting to fight me or something. But he wouldn't actually do a poo with me there because he's too uptight to be able to poo in public, and I'm public.
yeah, I was gonna say it's the same scenario as him not being
Yeah.
able to go in public. Someone's watching.
It was my calculated choice. I don't think you'll poo next to me, and please prove me right.
But were you in your new vehicle or your old vehicle?
I was in my old vehicle. He has not been in my new car, and he's not going in my new car. The very first time I took him in the car, I took him in the old car. That's the only one he's ever going in a crate. And I literally drove him 2.5 minutes. And I think 2 minutes in, it was coming out, close to. I heard the change in his breathing. I heard the fussing. And I'm like, no, please hold on. So I'm driving like a grandmother. Like, slow around the bends, keep it smooth, don't overwhelm him.
God.
And I get to my spot. With a dog like him, he has learned that the car takes him to overwhelming places where he has to literally fight for his life, like his life is in danger. Now, this is in his head. This isn't in reality, of course.
Right. Yep.
So in his head, the world is out to kill him. In reality, he probably went to some nice park where there were some people. But in his mind, he had a different feeling about it. So I took him to a place close to me, 2.5 minutes away. There was no one in the parking lot, thank goodness. So I let him hop out and we went on a walk. I gave him full leash. I actually think I may have attached a long line to him and I let him go explore. I saw people coming, so I just did a very crafty deke off the path and we went another direction so he was able to let those people go. And he just went for a nice walk where he got to be as free as a dog like him can possibly be. Then we went back to my car. He hopped on quite willingly onto his new co-pilot front spot and we drove back to my house. So that was his first time out. So then I repeated that walk with him several more times and we've been doing it several times a day. Actually, the first time he was back in his crate, it was after that I realized I should have him up front with me. And as soon as I had him up front, then he started to become my friend because he had to sit next to me. Prior to that, I was more like his prison guard.
Forced friendship.
Yeah. Once he was next to me up front, he started to like me a little bit more. And then if I had to store him, like if there was a moment in time I couldn't be with him, rather than crating him, I put him in my front seat of my old van that he could poop in if he so chose. Once I stopped crating him, he started liking me.
These all sound like wins. These aren't failures.
With him, it was wins, but the poop factor was definitely a failure.
A failure in not being told that was an issue.
And the poop I had to clean up one morning, Tuesday morning, I think.
After next week, we'll discuss whether or not you had failures with him, because right now it sounds like you've got him figured out. Unlike your,
I think it's only step one, though. Step one of many.
mm-hmm. Yep.
It's just the poop that terrifies me.
Yes.
Because I like to think at this stage in my career, I'm more than just a poo cleaner upper. I'm not, but I just like to think I am.
I had nothing to say to that. I was like, keep thinking that.
We've done 3 walks, 3 drives and short walks close to my house. And then yesterday I was able to drive him for about 15 minutes, 12 to 15 minutes away from my house to a completely different place. And no poop.
Yay.
But I have not driven him anywhere in public yet. Anywhere that he's seen anything remotely. Oh, we've got a long way to go. When you're talking about a dog that poops like that, there's a long way to go. Like he's got aggression to dogs, doesn't love people. We've got a long way to go. But
you really do have your hands full this week.
Oh, it's a full moon. It feels like it.
Or Wendy's angry at you.
Never blame Wendy. Wendy's wonderful. What other failings have I had in my week, Joe? I had a super private lesson.
That's not a fail.
No, it wasn't a fail.
Sounds to me like this hasn't been a terribly failing week.
Everyone just know, though, that things don't always go in a straight linear path forwards. They don't.
No, it's up and down and it's backwards and it's forward.
Yeah. The line is messy.
1 step back. Yeah.
It's a very messy line. It's not just forward and success. It's not. And if you want to just teach them certain things, and they may or may not be useful. Who thought that on my first week of board and train with one dog, that I'd be teaching him how to travel in a car and not poop? Like, right? Really? And I can't say I've succeeded. All I can say is it hasn't happened yet. Right? Because as soon as I push the envelope a little bit and take him to residential, it's probably going to slip out of him. But it hasn't happened yet. So, yeah.
Step in the right direction. I think this is a good lesson for both the competition people that are training for things, or not even competition, but just general people that are training for things. Both. Competition dogs realize everybody screws up.
Yeah.
And try not to get too discouraged when you do it, because I'm the queen of when I screw up, I will never be able to fix it. I might as well get a new dog. That's where my head goes. And it takes a lot for me to get around that mindset. So realize that shit happens and you will get through it. But also the public needs to realize that what they're seeing on social media isn't really how things go.
It's not really how things go at all. No.
Except for the people that are on social media that are thinking they're doing a really good job, but their dogs are showing otherwise. Like the dogs are either miserable or they're taking 6 commands to do what they're told to do. And the person who owns that post thinks that's good.
This week, you and I could start making Instagram videos with me with my dogs. We could go viral with me being sweet and giving like my first dog commands and she just completely ignores me and bites me in the leg,
Yeah, and then you can give her a cookie.
we could become famous with her.
Yeah, throw a cookie away from you. That'll fix it. You'll get her off
She
your ankle.
she wouldn't even go for the cookie. She'd go for the moving hand.
Oh my god.
She's just the devil. It's a good job I love her.
That's one to follow along for sure.
Oh, goodness.
See where she goes.
I think I need to get my hair dyed now.
I think it would be a waste. Wait till you're done with her.
Will I ever be done with her?
Oh.
I will eventually. I will. And I have to keep reminding myself I will. Because I do know that every wonderful border collie I've had here, I've been at this point at the beginning. So Ben had me here. Wasp had me here. This one
And
has me here.
Annie.
Annie had me here. Hi, Haley. Tucker had me here. They've all tested my knowledge to the nth degree
Yep.
with every good border collie. And this one's a spectacular border collie, which means she's just going to be that much worse. Yeah. And I wish Pippa and Kate would school her so far that at one point today, after she bonked my chihuahua in the head with her foot, and Mo actually looked scared of a dog for the first time in her life, I left her with Kate in the house thinking, go ahead, Kate. Go on, honey. Do your job. And I came back to Kate hiding in the corner and border collie at the door barking.
No.
Kate, this is on you.
Wow.
You can deal with her.
Kate's given up. You're not paying Kate enough. She's going on strike.
Kate said with her bike rides and her current happy lifestyle, she doesn't need this stress.
No. No. Johnny stepped up.
Johnny did it. Johnny did it. Pippa just looks at me worried every time I open her crate, like, oh no, don't make it out. Put it away, mother.
That's not one of us.
But you're border collies. You're the ones that have to fix her. I can't do it. But they've both wrung their hands of her. They're like, it's all yours.
Yep, this one's on you, lady.
On my walk with her, this was on Tuesday morning. Harry thought I'd given him a birthday present.
Oh, I bet.
And he ran her back and forth. He loved her. And for the first time in his life, Harry got angry with her.
Oh, wow. Oh, she is a piece of work then.
I have never seen him annoyed with anyone, any girl ever. And he got annoyed with her. And especially a cute little flirty one. And
Yeah.
Harry was snarling at her. I've never seen that before from him. But I was snarling at her this morning too when she wouldn't come. So, hey, Harry, we have something in common. We both feel the same.
Which is funny because you and I were talking earlier about another dog that you had trained. Harry just did something that a lot of people might think is inappropriate. You don't want a dog snarling at a puppy. But there are times in life when the choices dogs make are completely appropriate for that scenario.
Absolutely.
Nobody wants their dog to be snarky with another dog or snarky with a person. But if you have a dog that's been either approached by a weird person or startled or hurt, they have every reason to react to that person the next time they see them. Or if they've been jumped by a dog, people get really upset with their dog. Voicing an opinion is a good way to put it.
Dogs are allowed opinions. And it depends. If your dog's always opinionated, then yeah, no, they've lost their right to an opinion.
Yeah.
But if it's a dog like Harry that's never said no to a dog ever,
Yeah.
then I must listen when he finally says, I'm done with this one, mother.
Yeah.
Pull her off my ear. Then he's being honest with me. He's communicating something and I need to listen.
Yeah. He's got a right to say no to it. Prada would be the same way. If she tells a dog off, I'm going to be like,
you get him, honey.
That really pushed it too far.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, in the case of Harry, if it were a dog like Prada, I would say, good girl, Prada, you tell him.
Yep.
In the case of a dog like Harry, I cannot do that because there's too much
Right.
behind that it might be unsafe if he decided to listen to me.
Yep.
So in the case of Harry, it's more like, Harry, come here, hon.
Yep.
I just called him off. This way, bug. So he didn't get in trouble in any way. I just stopped it by calling him to me.
Yep. You just managed it.
Yep.
Stepped in.
Yep. And he didn't feel scolded or anything like that because he was right.
Yep.
On one of our podcasts recently, we had talked, it was a question and answer one. And we were talking about a lady that got bitten in her apartment building, and her dog was present when it happened. It was by a strange dog. And her dog now hates that dog. And what should she do with him? And we had said to her, thank him.
Yes. No kidding.
Anyhow, I was talking to the client recently. It worked. They thanked him, and she said it softened him right in that moment. And
Nice.
he just needed that permission and realized,
The
and he
permission
was softer.
and the change in energy.
Yeah.
Like instead of getting all uptight and feeling like you need to do something about your dog's dislike for this other dog, you're not getting uptight about it. You're just saying thank you. And the dog's, wow, total different energy than what they were expecting to come across.
Yep. All right, Julie, I think we can wrap this one up.
Alrighty. It's been fun.
Thank you, darling.
Okay.
Good night.
Talk to you later. See you next Tuesday.
Bye.
Bye.